And we are live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Holy Crap, the Vlogcast. The Vlogcast that comes from a skeptical point of view to answer some of the questions of why. This Vlogcast started as a combination of spite and the Streisand effect because Del and Joey and me, we like to piss off people. No, wait, I've used this intro before. I'll come back to me next week. I'll find something I haven't said yet. Part of this is follow through with the old adage, sometimes the journey is more important than the destination. I'm your main host. I'm known as Shujin Triple all over the place. It's kind of hard to miss me. Shujin. After that, you're on your own. Yeah, hi. It's going to be one of those nights for me right about now. There's reasons I'll explain as we get further along. As usual, let me go ahead and reintroduce you to the crew, because hail, the gang's all here. Top left-hand corner, North America. Dallin, good evening. Down to the right to the Midwest of the U.S., Bridget, hi. Just continuing on, off to the right a little bit further, Joey, hi, you made it. Hey, you were bitching at it yesterday. You know, you don't get to do it again. He's got a point. That's true. There is a Klingon proverb, pain is good. It reminds us that we are still alive. And continuing over the pond to Paris, France, Joseph, good morning. There you are. I was getting a little worried there for a second. See, we were having a little bit of an issue with Joseph's connection with us, getting an echo chamber back from him from us, and he's changed over from one device to another, and now I'm a little worried how that's going to work out. You. Speak again. You're right. Hold on a second. Because all of a sudden, desktop audio changed on me. Okay, everybody hold on a second. This was not an issue just a couple of moments ago. Say hello, guys. Let me mute that and try it again. Say something. Okay. Yeah, they're not hearing any damn thing. All right, so hold on a second. I do not know what's going on. Right before we started streaming, everything was showing up correct on my audio. And I checked these things. Give me a couple seconds. All right, one more time. Nothing. Why? No, it's not. Hold on a second. What the hell is going on? Desktop audio monitor and output. Say hello? What the? This is not. This is not working the way that it's supposed to. Why the hell not? Okay. My apologies. Literally right before I hit the button for us to start streaming out to YouTube, everything was right. And I had the stream going out from OBS. This is something I've never had to deal with before. Okay, this is not good. All right. Fortunately, they can't hear you moving around with everything there, Joe. Thanks. No, 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 no. I am, but the problem is apparently OBS is not sending out the audio for you guys. And it should be. What the ever-loving hell? That's impressive. Okay, so... Well, that's not coming through right at all. All right. Folks, give me a couple of seconds. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the stream, and then hopefully I'll be able to pick it right back up again. I don't know what's going on, so just give me a couple of seconds. Absolute worst case scenario, I will have to restart the stream in its entirety on YouTube itself. So folks who are watching live, just hang out for a couple moments. Let me see what I can do here. So I will be back in just a couple of seconds, I hope.
Hey.
That's not helpful, but I appreciate that. Okay, stream says it is back up and running. And I have audio coming through for everybody. All right, so let's just make this easy. 3, 2, 1. And we are live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Holy Crap, the Vlogcast. Vlogcast comes from a skeptical point of view to answer some of the questions of why. This Vlogcast started as a combination of spite and the Streisand effect, because audio problems are a perennial issue. You don't know what's going on? Good. Congratulations. It means that Dallin actually did the edit correctly. Thank you. This is one of the few times we can actually say, yeah, he will fix this in post. Part of this is follow through with the old adage, sometimes the journey is more important than the destination. I'm your main host. I'm known as Shujin Tribble. You can find me anywhere that people are pulling out their hair from audio issues because, yeah. Hi. Shujin. You can find me pretty much everywhere under that name. Let me do this one more time really quickly. Top left-hand corner, North America, Dallin. Hi.
Hello.
Down and to the right, Midwest of the U.S., Bridget. Good evening.
Good evening.
A little bit further off, Joey. Glad you could make it.
You know, we could have done a barbershop quartet thing.
Yeah, but we've got 5 people. And a little further off, over the water to Paris, France, Joseph. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, so as people might understand, yeah, we had a little bit of an audio issue. Don't ask me why, because I don't know. OBS, weird. I don't know. I don't get it. All I know is that, hi, we're back. We're here. And if you didn't hear anything if you didn't hear the previous 10 minutes, yeah, congratulations. You missed out on me pulling what's left of my hair out. So, we're here. Good to be back with you. Hoping everybody is doing well for themselves. And, this is a great way to start tonight, isn't it? As always, those of you that are watching live, thank you very kindly. You're over on the live chat over there. Feel free to take advantage. So, Stephanie, Phyllis, thank you guys. I'm going to be rubbing my eyes a little bit because I didn't wind up my contact lenses earlier, so they're not behaving quite right now. Joy, it's going to be one of those. It's going to be one of those nights. I'm telling you.
Well, Bobby C has nothing on you now. We thought he had equipment issues.
You know what? He does have equipment issues. I just have the occasional, why isn't the software behaving? Something tells me it pissed off the great god Murphy, and I do not know why.
You know, it just reminds me of
all those podcasters back in the day who used to talk about GarageBand and how it was the bee's knees for all your podcasting needs and requirements. And yet what software were they yelling and screaming about when after doing 2 hours of raw recording and 6 hours of editing, all of a sudden, oh, we're sorry, we couldn't get this latest episode out because GarageBand ate the file.
Yeah.
So bee's knees, huh? Right.
Yeah. When all is said and done, Audacity is your friend. OBS should be, but apparently right now it's not.
Audacity is your friend right up until it isn't.
Everything is your friend right up until the point that it isn't.
Yeah. I won't lie. I've had my issues with Audacity before, but it was kind of my own fault for thinking that I could do a 3-hour recording on a machine that didn't even have the CPU power to pull that off.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, I got you. So, as always, everybody, thank you for being part and parcel of this all. Just as a real quick check-in, as far as health and well-being is concerned, I'm going to be talking a little bit about mine momentarily. For the most part, I'm doing okay. Everybody doing relatively well. I mean, I know not all of us are doing quite as well as we'd like. I don't know who wants to spill what, but for the most part, everybody, for the most part, okay?
Yeah, can't complain.
I mean, most everything's intact. The last I checked.
You're going for your 21-point inspection there pretty soon, aren't you, Joe?
I wouldn't necessarily call it that, but I'm getting some eyes under the hood, so to speak.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. You're.
Well, the last time somebody referred to a 21-point inspection, it was, the good age 40 standard. And let's face it, nobody's bought me a drink yet, so I don't think so.
Man, it's going to be really wild when I finally turn 40. It's going to be a day. Sorry, what?
I mean, at the rate I'm going, it'll be a hell of a day if I manage.
That's true. More appropriately, it's going to be a hell of a night. I got nothing other one. Anyway, so let me get us started. Fortunately, I actually did work on the horrible scopes because I had a let me kind of roll this into everything. I've got a hell of a week ahead of me, and this past week has been kind of the preview for everything going on. So let me just go ahead and do this, and I'll explain as we're going along. So, with 5 minutes on the clock, 5-minute freestyle starts right now. Chapter, I've got a song in my head recently, and it's the Silver Bullet Band. Turn the page. Things keep going, and as there is an old expression about the only thing that's constant is change. And, well, yeah, I guess it really is. I got a couple of visual items. So for those of you that are not watching, you're just going to have to take my word for it. But some people would recognize what this little piece of computer is. It's a good old-fashioned 3.5-inch floppy disk drive. Nothing special. We've had these things around for long ass time. It's one of those things where it was good. It did the job that we wanted it to do, and that's good. That's exactly what you want. A little while later, they got supplanted with one of these, a CD drive. Yeah, I've still got a number of these because, I've still got plenty of optical discs I'm not getting rid of. This one happens to be IDE. I've got a SCSI one around over here too. For those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, congratulations, you don't know your hardware. But those things got supplanted. You get stuff like these compact flash cards. My digital SLR uses these because that's what I got, and they got supplanted with USB sticks because that's what it was. And then SD cards, micro SD cards, hold more information on something the size of my thumbnail than my first computer could have ever dreamed of. Come the 90s, we had PDAs, personal digital assistants, and this one was actually a Handsprings visor, because it wasn't good enough that we had just the Palm Pilot, because you got to have your own knockoffs that are exactly identical except for a little piece in the back. And now these things are completely supplanted with our digital phones, because just having a two-way radio wasn't good enough. We had to upgrade those to a modem that handles digital signals over radio waves for us to talk to each other now. These things change. And is it still possible to find a floppy disk drive to put into a computer? I mean, yeah, you can find them. They're still workable. They're not really useful any longer. You can get old information off of them, and that's good.
Possibly.
Yeah. You can get new cases to put them in so that you can connect them up in different ways, which is, again, it's a good thing. But the usefulness of this is gone. I mean, for all practical purposes. For an optical drive, not quite nearly as much. People still buy CDs. I have a stack of CDs right next to me, as a matter of fact. DVDs, Blu-ray, 4K discs, or whatever optical media is going to be coming later, provided it conforms to the same. These things change. And just because they're no longer that useful doesn't mean that they're not useful. They did their job. And that's what they were supposed to do. My kid is going to be moving off to college. 15 years later, our kid is moving off to college. I am not useless. I am hardly just old. I was what was needed. And the big thing that I worry about is, did I do enough? I'm not going to know that for years to come. But I did the best that I could. And I'm proud. This is episode 323 on the docket, Your Honor. Skool Day-Z. Some people may have actually understood what I was going for. And after I pronounced it that way, I'm kind of guessing that some other people now get what I was going for. The whole health and welfare of everything and everyone. Perfect timing right there. Thank you. Yeah, we're worried. We're very much worried about everything and everyone. So I don't know what we can really do ourselves to kind of help the school occupants. And I'm saying it that way because it's not just the students. It's the administrators. It's the health department. It's the guidance counselors. It's the teachers. It's the subs. Anywhere there is a gathering of people at this point is another vector for these infections. And right now, the biggest one is going to be school districts. Because we don't have a great model for just, well, let's face it, just getting people to properly hunker in place to get this damn virus gone. You thought I was going to say a proper setup for these kids to be telelearning, didn't you? Yeah. New Zealand did it. Everybody else could. But there's only so much that I can complain about. Oh, wait. No, that's exactly what this whole show is for. So, yeah, we're going to talk. We're going to bitch. We're going to hope that we can think about some things that might be helpful for how things are going around over here. Will I put this away? Yeah. The old work computer that I had from when I was working at the internet service provider. Still got that poor thing. It's it's an e-machine. So, anybody wants to go looking up what an e-machine is, please don't scream in terror when you see the specs on these things. It's old. It did what it was supposed to do, and that's all that's important. Kind of like everything else. Anyway, information that I can give you guys at the moment. I have no information currently on the condition for Rafe Badawi. I had nothing come up on my news feeds. I didn't find anything new, and I didn't see anything specific on the Twitter account. So as of the recording of tonight's show, it has now been 8 years, 1 month, 23 days since Rafe was unjustly incarcerated for thought crimes. Our hopes, our thoughts are still with you and your family. We are still waiting. So, Stephanie's getting buffer. Let me double check.
Well, that might be a YouTube thing.
Yep, because everything says that everything going from me to YouTube is good. That's helpful. Anyway, Stephanie, for whatever might help, if you lower the video resolution, that might help out a little bit. So kind of work it from there, and we'll see what we got. Anyway, you guys all good for running up the horrible scopes for this week?
Yeah, I got them set up already.
Yeah, I've got them open.
I'm sorry, Joseph?
Yeah, I have them open.
All right.
Am I breaking up again?
Nope, you're sounding just fine.
No.
Okay.
All right, so let me go ahead and get you guys started for your horrible scopes for this week. Please remember, if you know what astrological sign you are, great. If you don't, just roll a d12 and add a +4 for damage delivery or something. I don't know, whatever the hell it is. Let me get
What
you.
order are we going in?
Well, kind of basically loop around the map as we typically would. So I will go ahead and kick it off, and we'll bring it over to Dallin from there. So, Aries, being unique means you don't fit in. You're a party of one, a solo act, one of a kind. That makes you more rare than 1 in a million. So, what if people don't totally understand you? Live it up. And remember the lyrics. And I would not be convicted by a jury of my peers. Because there's no one quite like you, so who could judge you? Dallin?
Moving on to Taurus. Stop stressing over your unfortunate looks. You look the way you look, and without expensive surgery, there's very little you can really do about it. I mean, sure, you can buy those tush and hip enhancer underwear or animal design colored contact lenses or spread back salve on your face too. Wait, never mind the last one. Yeah, black salve is bad. So never mind. Forget I said it.
Gemini. You grew up liking dinosaurs, never dreaming you could actually own one. Well, here's your chance. Go out there and adopt a featherless chicken. Sure, it'll be freaky looking and need a lot of protection from the elements, but come on, a tiny dinosaur.
You know, the last time I adopted a featherless chicken, well, it wasn't exactly featherless. It was covered in extra tasty, crispy batter, but well, it was an adoption, sort of.
That's right, Mr. Spielberg. Real dinosaurs have feathers. Cancer. Moonchild. Yes, I do that just because of you.
Thank you.
People say that you're a control freak. If you had your way, we wouldn't have said anything. But you can't, so we did. If you want to... Health and welfare, everybody. If you want us not to say these things next time, you can sponsor the show at Patreon, and we'll be nicer to you next time.
Maybe.
Leo, you think your poker face needs work. We think you need to stop playing online poker with your webcam on. At least wear something other than that Spirit Halloween floppy rubber horse mask. You know, like maybe pants? At that point, that webcam up at your face. And point that webcam up at your face.
That'd be very helpful for most people, I'm sure.
www.chatterbait.com/rubberhorsefaceguy.
We at Holy Crap the Vlogcast do not in any way, shape, or form endorse such.
Yeah, and
Yes,
just for the
we
record, no, that's
do.
not mine.
Podcasters don't wear pants. I'm just saying.
I'm apparently doing it. Virgo, point A is where you are, and point B is where you want to be. The shortest distance between them is wormhole. Generating one would require a super collider about the size of the solar system, and stabilizing it requires a form of matter with negative mass. So, how about just driving the 20 minutes from point A to point B and putting on the radio and just enjoying the ride?
And my fellow folks in unemployment, Libra, where does the time go, Libra? Going from one job to the next is tiring, but ultimately interesting. How about you try this one on for size? A leather bullwhip braider is way more complicated than people think. I mean, what kind of leather you use for one thing? Kangaroo is best. No, seriously. Then trying to keep track of the braids. Braiding these things, like hair, isn't too tough.
3 things.
Oh, sorry. Braiding 3 things like hair isn't too tough. 5 gets a little crazy, but okay. You ever tried it with 32? Yeah, just try it.
By the way, that's entirely true. I have a whip making book in the basement. I've looked at what it takes to do a 32 braid whip. No. No.
Yeah. You like smashing spiders with your bare hands, smashing pumpkins with your ears, and smashing when you watch your favorite cartoon series. You're just all kinds of messed up, Scorpio. We're just giving him permission to own up to it now.
Joey?
Mr. Mute button.
Yes, apparently, because I sat on the son of a bitch.
Again.
Okay, you know what? This is, I
Drink.
swear to God, this is Constantinople 2.0.
I'm not even going to ask.
No, I have one of those inline control dangle
And you
dealies.
Sat on it.
Well, it's a very long braided cord, and it keeps falling in between the armrest of my chair and my ass.
Yeah, I'll explain Constantinople after we're done.
I mean, kind of hard to explain Constantinople.
No. You'll get the reference once we're done here. I'll explain it fully.
Oh no, I do get it. It's just
Sagittarius.
yes, I know. Look, it's nobody's business but the Turks. Sagittarius. In Japanese culture, people only hang up pictures of people who are dead to remind them of those who they can no longer visit or talk to. Think about all the pictures you have hanging up in your house and try to imagine what the Japanese sister city would think of you. God, it's hard to remember that we even had a Japanese sister city when I was growing up.
Capricorn, you're a natural liar, and your first instinct to say, no, I'm not, just proved it. It's okay, you can use that talent to become a fiction writer, become famous, and sell plenty of stories to people. Just remember not to plagiarize other people's works. Don't be a lazy liar.
It's true. It's one thing to be a liar. It's another one to be lazy about it. Don't do that.
Be creative.
Exactly. Aquarius. People who say they want honest criticism only fall into two camps. Those that were unprepared for the brutality of pointing out something that should have been obvious to them before, or those that already knew about the mistake you're talking about. The next person that asks it of you should have the question turned back on them. What is it you find lacking in this piece? Then you can remind them that knowing about these mistakes means they'll be better next time. See, you can be supportive. And everyone else just thought you were an insufferable ass.
And my fellow fish, Pisces. Oh boy. Let's talk about sex drive for a second. Now, most living entities have one. It's a biological necessity. Now, consider that every great relation of yours had sex multiple times and most likely eventually culminating in you as a final product. You are not the end of that lineage, only the midpoint. And you might not be blood related to all of them. Somewhere in your lineage might be an adoption that brought you into it all. So remember, if it wasn't for sex, you wouldn't be here.
I think that pretty well goes for most of us. Remember, if your parents didn't have sex, chances are you probably won't either. So with that, those are your horrible scopes for this week. And I did kind of push them through because I was a little bit emotional the last week and completely forgot about them. So there you go. No backsies. Look for the union label and you're on your own. Sorry. I guess that's what I'm going with that. So yeah, like I said, this week has been a little tough on me because it's almost time for Tiny Tribble to head on off to college, and it's been a long road trying to get to this, and I, like a lot of other people, have been watching to see what's been happening with some of the school districts out there. And as we had mentioned last week, one school district in Indiana didn't get to the halfway point of the day when they had their first student tested positive because they were waiting on their test. They were symptomatic and still went in. And well, now we're gotta kind of wait and see what's going to happen with all that, because as some people pointed out, what happens? You've got one student in a classroom of, well, let's be generous and say 20. What happens with how many students they were around, and the teacher, and the kids that were in the hall as they did staggered dismissals, and the kids on the bus, and the bus driver, and everybody that the bus driver dealt with, because, in some cases 3 bus runs. You know, anybody that doesn't think about these things in terms of exponential growth really don't know what the hell it is that they're talking about. And you don't have to be a whale biologist to know about this stuff. Yes, there's a weird shout out to somebody, but that's a whole other thing. So let's start off with this. Bridget, the idea that I'm looking at this and not even thinking of it from a biological standpoint other than we're talking about biology. You know, thinking about this in terms of, you know, statistics. They told 2 friends and they told 2 friends and so on and so on. I'm not out in left field on this one entirely, right?
No. And we're finding out now that kids are pretty efficient little vectors.
But they always have been.
Yeah, they always have been, but their
Yeah,
viral load on COVID is about 200 times what an adult carries up in their nasopharynx. Isn't that lovely?
God, I don't know. You know, we have to get a COVID test for Tiny Tribble for the college, and we're gonna get that the next within the next couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
I have heard of what the nasal swab is supposed to be like. I have no idea. I'm going to make sure that we are both done simultaneously so that there is no, well, who have you been around that could potentially be, so they can actually say, okay, yeah, it was just the 2 of you. Okay, you both got a clean bill of health. I don't want to imagine what a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, kindergarten kids would have to go through for all this.
Well,
No, I wouldn't want to do that to my child. I can tell you
but
that
I mean,
much.
that's true. But I mean, you think about it. Okay, this could be this could be a culture thing here. But did you guys ever get vaccines in school growing up?
Yeah.
Shujin, was that something Tiny Tribble went through at all?
Not in school. As I recall, there was something that might have been available. It's been so long, I've forgotten, because because his birthday is in August. You know, it was always a matter of that get his checkup around the birthday so that got everything just in time for school. And school for us starts in early September.
Well, yeah, same here. Well, with us though, it was God, I think just just before high school started. We were getting back where I grew up, there was a red measles outbreak. And
wait a minute. Red measles?
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with it by that name.
No, it is a particular strain of measles that does have some pretty bad effects on people, more so than what you would normally consider measles. So a vaccine came out, and the schools, we all lined up, and we were grade 8 or grade 9, I think, when that came out. Actually, yeah, it was grade 9 because I remember I had an interesting reaction to them. Got the vaccination, and I went out of town to play a basketball game for a league game with my school team. And when I got back, I actually broke out in measles, but I did not have I got the spots, but the other effects, the fever, the feeling of, yuck that usually comes with it, that wasn't there. And well, no, I looked into it a bit further, and of course that's when I found out what a vaccine really was. And I just say, yeah, apparently if I hadn't gotten that vaccination, if I'd contracted the measles, I would not have had a very nice day, apparently. Anyways, no, the reason I was asking about the vaccinations in schools is that, this was stuff that when we were growing up, this is the stuff we had to go through. I mean, you either got it or Well, okay, everybody in my town got it. We never had anybody that was, autism or anything like that. You lined up, and I think for the most part, every kid just got it done unless their parents, did a hard no. Of course, these days, with, the wonderful thing that is the internet, which is, just a trusted source of facts and truth and well-researched articles. Who the hell am I kidding?
We can just blame Andrew and just be done with it.
Well,
is it wrong of me to want to dope slap him with a Buick?
But the question is, was he yeah, he's definitely the most notable one that, sparked a lot of this. But, if everybody else was actually thinking or actually, taking the time to actually read, he would have been considered a village idiot by everybody. But instead, suddenly a celebrity gets on the bandwagon. And of course, at the time, everybody listens to what celebrities say. It's like, oh, what am I going to do today? What is Arnold Schwarzenegger doing today? I think I will do what they're doing. Or what is, this particular supermodel doing today? Maybe I'll do that. Because, well, if they're doing it and they're so successful, then if I do it, I'll be successful. If there's if there is one thing about COVID that, at least from what I've been sort of watching in the whole tabloid crap that I end up looking at some days, Hollywood's clout factor is circling the drain like the Cygnus circling the black hole.
I would like to clarify something. When I said that I wouldn't want to do that to my child, like a 5-year-old, what I meant by that was when you go get the test, you either have to administer it yourself, or if the person's too young, then their parent has to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard for a parent to inflict something painful on a child. I mean, I would, but I hate to have to hurt them.
I understand that. And
one of the hardest, I'd rather a medical professional do it.
Mm-hmm.
And, one of the hardest things I ever had to do as a parent was when my daughter was about 10 or 11 months old, she had pneumonia really bad. We took her to the emergency room and all that. But to get a urine sample, they had to cath her, plus they had to start an IV, and they had me hold her down while she was screaming, and my husband just had to leave the room. He couldn't handle it.
Well, yeah, I've been cathed when I was awake, and it wasn't fun.
But that was heart-wrenching for me to have to hold her down while they were having, it was, they had no choice but to do it, but it hurt her, and she's looking to mommy to help her, and mommy is helping these people hurt her.
Yeah. I guess what I'm getting at
That
is
was tough.
Like when we were growing up, there were things that we ended up having to go through that, by today's standards, a lot of these more freedom or more rights or more whatever, these more eat balls, whatever, they wouldn't stand for it.
Yeah.
So like compulsory testing, for instance, compulsory COVID testing. I don't think any state could actually mandate that and think they could get away with it. Just, again, because of individual rights, individual freedoms. It's the same thing about mandatory vaccinations. We've talked about it. Yes, it would be a great idea, but you got too many people who, even if it's a good thing, they see anything like that as you're taking my rights away. It's a bit of a, now granted up here, it's a bit more of a, okay, yeah, you know what? I don't want to get sick, but I also don't want my neighbor to get sick. So, if I got to go get a needle stuck in my arm for, 5 seconds and, maybe have a bruise for a couple of days, if that means that nobody around me is going to get sick, or if they are going to get sick, it ain't because of me,
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, what have I said before? I don't want to be the one responsible for getting Betty White sick.
No.
Exactly. But
I mean, I say it tongue in cheek, but I mean,
No, I get what you're saying. And once again, like,
and I'm realizing my microphone's a little too hot. Sorry.
yeah, but I'm just realizing that down there, and there are some people up here too, and I'm part of a group for a small city just north of me. I'm not entirely sure how I got into it because I don't actually live there, but I'm close enough that if I throw a stone real hard, I could hit it. But there are people there who are of the same sort of redneck mentality. They're like, oh, you can't tell me to wear a mask. Well, actually, not only can they, they did. As of August 1st, we have a mandate in this city right now that if you walk into any store, you either mask up or GTFO. And if you don't GTFO, you get fined. So, yeah, we can do it. We have done it. And, it is what it is. But, my Twitter feed, this Facebook feeds, other things are filled with stories of people who just sit there and more freedom, more rights. I can't breathe because of the mask. And all the BS has been debunked harder than anything Wakefield ever came up with.
Well, the worst part, of course, was the mask part too, but we'll do that later.
Chip last week with, surgical mask, you're going to get hypoxia. Like, no, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, and again, as someone who has, dealt with hypoxia on 3 too many occasions.
Yeah, there was that.
I could tell you, and look, I've worked in jobs where I've worn chemical respirators, like filter respirators. I've worn full face respirators with recirculators on them. I've used scuba gear. I've used surgical masks. You've seen the mask I have now.
Flimsy ass surgical mask is not going to make anybody hypoxic.
Look, the only thing that flimsy ass surgical N95 mask did was fog my glasses up and made it really hard to talk to the doctor I was talking to that day. I walked into the clinic and they actually had me switch out the mask I had with one of theirs.
Yeah.
Free of charge, thankfully. But still, it was, it just, but that was the only thing. Okay, fine. I fogged up my glasses. Whoop-de-freaking-do, I was in that place for 20 minutes and then I went out onto my car, took my mask off. Everything was fine. But yeah, whatever, what's his nuts there. Oh God. He reminded me a bit of a Chad, like how he was saying, bro after everything, like, hey, what's going on, brah? That's bad for you, brah.
I got a question.
But,
I'm sorry. Hold on just a second. Bridget, help me out on this one a little bit, because you would remember it better than I do, and better than the rest of us, I think. Mid-70s, we talked about this before, the big inoculation pushes that were going on. I talked about that before, and I'm trying to remember if that was that a measles thing that was going on?
I know with ours, or at least I'm still, I'm old enough that I remember this now. I still had to get immunized for smallpox.
Okay. I don't remember.
I'm that old.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was that was specifically being done. All I remember is that, like I said before, went up to the state college, the gymnasium was just, what in the hell do they call those? The wheeled off fabric walls.
Partitions? Just partitions?
Whatever they are. Polio was a thing in the 60s. Well, I wasn't around in the 60s, Felix. Not like some of the I'm not gonna. Okay, so
Oral, they just give you a little squirt.
yeah, all I remember is that it was a bunch of injections that were going on. I don't remember if it was hypodermic. I don't remember if it was the spray guns. Doesn't matter. What I'm actually wondering is what is the what has been the difference culturally for us all between the mid 70s where there was or even the 50s and 60s when it was we've got these great things, they're going to go ahead, they're going to cut down on everybody getting measles, mumps, rubella, whooping cough. Yes, I pronounce it that way. Shut up, I don't care. And people knew that this was going to be for the betterment of everybody. And okay, we know what it's going to be doing. It's safe, cool. Let's all go in there en masse and get it all done. Versus what's happened 30 years later where it's, well, I don't know, man. I don't get what's happened in all this time where all of a sudden it's like, why wouldn't you do?
Well, you have the anti-vaxxer movement now, and a lot of these people are not old enough, the parents are not old enough to have relatives who had polio or got measles or anything like that. That's what I think. I think it's an age gap thing. Like people in my mom's age were old enough to remember not having vaccines for things. And, had friends that had polio and stuff like that. So I think that's the difference is, the anti-vaxxers just haven't had to be faced with anything. They haven't seen anything really bad in their lifetime, and so they blow it off. They don't remember the time before.
Yeah, and I just posted as soon as you talked about this whole immunization rush in the 70s, it reminded me of a commercial that I saw back in 77, and I posted in our chat here. It's C-3PO and R2-D2 talking about immunization. Where apparently R2 was complaining about getting whooping cough, and 3PO saying it's impossible for a droid to get whooping cough, but children do. And
if you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna get the kids to be interested in it as so much as a kid can be, I mean, you use the most popular thing of what's going on at the time that's caught their attention. Absolutely, that's the right way to do it.
Oh yeah, and I mean I fully understand that, and again I thought that was actually a pretty good way of doing things to get people informed.
Yeah.
That this is something that could happen. We do have a way to help prevent it. And these days, you don't see any of that these days. All you see is you don't necessarily see anything anti-vax either on TV, I'm saying.
No.
But you don't see anything pro-immunization or proactive health.
Nope.
For kids. You don't really see anything that tries to motivate people to take better care of themselves. Instead, all you see is 1001 McDonald's commercials or other fast food restaurants, and then you see hey, we've got this brand new drug that, and then 10 minutes of side effects afterwards that make you wonder, maybe I should just be happy with the condition I'm in because that stuff's probably going to kill me.
And those drugs they're advertising are hella expensive.
Well, and that's the other thing too. And, so many people aren't making enough money to afford those kinds of drugs anyway. And, if the symptoms of what you've got won't kill you, the bill from the insurance company sure as hell will.
Well, I mean, I noticed that they push Enbrel a lot, or at least they did for a while on commercials. Yeah. For skin psoriasis and RA and stuff like that. Which if you have RA, you need biopharm products to treat it. Yeah, because it
Yeah.
does destroy your joints and things. But but this one drug, you get an injection once a month, and I'm not sure what the cost on it now is. I know that 10 years ago I was flipping out because cost on it was like $1,895 a month per injection. I'm sure it's about 5 or 6 times that now.
Yeah, you shouldn't have to. Honestly, you shouldn't have to pay more per month for a drug than you do in rent or mortgage. To be honest.
Oh, there's one, and I forget the name of it. I've seen it advertised recently that the monthly charge on it is over $300,000 a month. Yes, you heard me right. $300,000 a month. And it's not a cancer drug. It's the immunotherapy kind of a thing.
Joseph just had a good question for you.
What was that?
Yeah, how did they justify that?
I think it's an orphan drug. Which by definition they would, not have a lot of people who needed it, but some people do, and it's the only drug available for their condition.
Yeah.
But this is America. It's all capitalism, and if you happen to have insurance that will pay for it, then good, you get to live. And if you don't have insurance, then sucks to be you. People can't afford that.
And even the insurance is in itself is down there is downright criminal. I mean, we've done side by side comparisons for the drugs I take, and Bridget, we looked at this. How much I pay for certain medications, and then you ran a comparison down there, and it was like twice as much.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and then there was the rates, like what I was paying per month, and now that I've got my own insurance, because I'm not working right now, I had to get my own insurance through Blue Cross. I'm actually paying less per month now for the similar coverage that I had while I had a job. Now, I didn't have a say in what I had with my job because that's company.
Yeah.
Like the company bought a bulk plan, and you're part of it for being employed. But now that I'm out of that, I actually talked one-on-one with an agent who said, yeah, okay, you've got this pre-existing condition, my high blood pressure, so we can't put you into this group, which was, I think, $120 a month, but we can put you in these two groups, one for this, one for that, and almost the same coverage and $30 less than what I was expecting to pay. So they actually helped me on that one. So I have a decent drug plan where I'm only again paying a portion of the drugs. If fates forbid that I end up back in the hospital, I'll have similar treatment to what I had the last time I was in there, and I'm actually paying less. I'm paying under $100 a month for that coverage. And if I want to go get a flu shot, I can do that anytime. I can walk into a pharmacy and say, yo, flu shot? Yep. How much? Nope. It's all done for free. Yep. I'm hoping that when the COVID vaccine comes out, and I'm sure it will soon.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's be fair. Soon is a relative term.
Relative term, yeah.
It is. But I'm hoping not, cosmically soon or geologically soon. I'm hoping a little bit sooner than that.
Fair.
Politically soon is starting to feel like cosmically soon, but that's another story. I'm hoping I can do the same thing. I can walk into, Shoppers Drug Mart and say, yo, COVID vaccine. Yep, here you go. Click. And I'm done. And as long as the syringe doesn't look like something that would implant a microchip, I'm okay with this.
Well, theoretically, that may not happen here, though, because I know that our government has been trying to get some kind of guarantees that it will be at an affordable price that everyone will have access to, and drug companies are being like, not so fast.
Yeah, I've heard a number of, supposedly it should, and I'm using this very guardedly, should cost approximately $3 per. I don't know what the right term for it would be for treatment.
Yeah.
For per unit injection, whatever the hell it's supposed to be, but you know,
Gross.
per dose. Thank you. But you know what?
I don't think that's going to happen.
I'm terribly concerned about that myself.
And don't forget that by what they've discovered from the virus, that you're probably going to have to get an injection every year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
just like a flu
shorter.
shot. Yeah, just like a flu shot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for one, because it mutates, but for two, it's looking like antibodies fade pretty quickly.
Yeah, I heard about that. This is a nasty bug, to say the least.
Yeah. And
But it seems like no matter what you do, I mean, okay, social distancing, the mask, I think it's working, but even up here, we're starting to see, as businesses are opening up and stuff, we are starting to see a spike.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I mean, now it's not like a New York size spike, but it's still significant.
Yeah. But masks do help.
No, I'm not disagreeing with that. All I'm saying is,
but we're gonna have to live with this for a while. We may always have to live with this.
This is turning into a catch-22 where even people who are staying at home, and even if they go out just for a second or whatever, they're still getting it. Like New York City is still, I think they're still in lockdown.
Yeah.
But right now, New York City is being declared practically a disaster area right now.
And don't forget, masks are there to protect other people.
Other people. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But if everyone's wearing a mask, though, I think Dr. Fauci was saying that they're showing it cuts down transmission by about 75%, which is, not a small amount. I mean, that's
significant.
It is.
And I don't get it. Everybody's especially the people who complain like, oh, I can't breathe. Like, cut the shit, okay? Just stop.
If you just wore the damn mask, we could all get through. Get through acting. And some semblance of normalcy a lot faster. Just
and stop. Please stop this whole sense of self-entitlement. Stop being a Karen about this, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
It's either do your part, or guess what? People are going to ostracize you. They are going to make you feel like a piece of trash, and you deserve it. Why? Because you are part of this community. You are not an island. You are part of something. You are part of a machine that works together to do stuff. You spend money. You are part of the economy. You get your hair done at, the other Karen's hair salon. Guess what? You're part of it. So, yeah, there is an expectation for you to do your part. You think this liberty, this freedom, this wonderful life you have should just be handed to you? No, I'm sorry, it doesn't. You want to talk about quid pro quo? That's what this is. You want to live in this wonderful land of whatever you want to call it? Guess what? There is a price to pay. Pay up.
I think one of the problems is that COVID doesn't kill. I mean, it kills, a considerable amount of people, but since there's so many people that don't die from it, people are being very nonchalant, and saying that, well, kids don't die from it, and yes, a few of them have, but it's not only, death. If you're looking at the overall death rate, it's, might only be 6% or 5%. Yeah, that's about what the rate is here in the U.S., for confirmed cases.
Most of those are in the over 80 age group.
Well, not anymore. They're starting to have younger people in their 20s and 30s die from strokes and heart attacks and
Well,
blood clots and
if you're
things like
gonna
that.
draw a median line, it would be somewhere
But
around.
there is a study that was published in Journal of American Medicine of a study they did in France of 100 people who were, younger, healthier, had gotten COVID, but they were not ill enough to go to the hospital. They recovered at home. Some of these people were athletes. They were in good health and had no underlying conditions, and 20s and 30s, young people. And out of the 100 people that they studied, 78 of them have permanent heart damage.
See, that's the thing is, yeah, you might survive it. But
But
Well,
what
the
about the
long-term
permanent
effects.
disabilities?
you're not going to come out of this thing unscathed.
Yeah, just
And now they're saying that 56% of the people who have recovered have, like several months later, have mental disabilities from it, either cognitive decline or, the brain fog or, hallucinations, delirium, depression. It's causing brain damage.
yeah, Joseph, you were starting to say something.
Oh no, but yeah, all that, and my point was basically people in the older age group, they tend to be a little more out of sight than most of society. So it's just another reason why people aren't taking it seriously. I mean, people don't seem to consider the threat real until it happens to somebody close to them
Okay,
or themselves.
So now there's two pieces that I want to hit on at this point because of that. Item one. I saw that article that you had posted, Bridget, about the study, and let's split the difference and call it 65% of those that have recovered are having these problems with the what was it, inflamed heart.
Myocarditis and I'm trying to remember what the other pericarditis.
Okay. Patients that have these conditions would be at greater risk for what as time goes on?
Dropping dead from a heart attack.
That's a good one right there. Reason why I ask that is because no, good. That's
needing
good
a heart lung or needing a heart lung transplant because their heart can no longer pump effectively.
Okay. Let's go with those two because that's rather dramatic, and I mean, some of us could see that happening with people as they get older. You get up into your 60s, 70s. There are times when this can happen. So, the first question that I've got about this whole damn thing is, what happens to a 5-year-old patient who has contracted and recovered and has this condition from 6 years old?
Oh, they could die in their teens, and I can tell you that as far as getting heart lung transplants for children, it's damn near impossible because most of the donors are adults, and adult organs are just too large to be planting in a 5 or 6-year-old who needs it. I mean, it's just not doable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which means
a lot of dead kids.
Which
maybe
means,
not in the short term, but 2, 3, 5 years down the line, yeah. Or kids that are so severely disabled that they can't function.
Oh, good Christ. It just suddenly dawned on me. Oh my God, I can't believe I have to think like this. This means that any track and field events in the upcoming years could be a literal death sentence for some of these kids.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you think about look at look at professional athletics right now. What was it? Major League Baseball just fired back up, or they're looking to fire back up. And what are they doing for the stands so that the TV coverage of it looks pretty good? They're putting monitors in the stands so that you have a virtual crowd to make it look like the stadium's packed.
I thought they were just putting up, cardboard cutouts, because I did see behind home plate at one was Bernie from Weekend at Bernie's.
Yeah,
Dead Bernie kind of.
So I think some are doing cardboard cutouts, some are doing LCD monitor screen, like flat screens or whatever.
No inflatable desktop sex dolls.
Yeah, that could be the next thing.
Well, no, wait a minute. There. I do remember that there was a restaurant that was kind of doing that, getting them, dressing them up, and putting them at tables to make the place look like it had people in it, as actual patrons were separated in distance and whatnot. Which, by the way, people, if you're going out at this point to have a sit-down dinner, fuck you. Seriously,
hold on.
you entitled sons of bitches.
Hold on.
On my side of the border, the ones who have been absolute douche nozzles about the whole damn thing.
Yeah. Now, the only reason I say that is because a few weeks ago, my sister and I went out for brunch. What was I doing? I was helping her with something, and she needed a ride to go somewhere, so we went, and she treated me to brunch. And we went to this place where they were social distancing, so like every third booth was open. We were greeted with a mask, with a lady who was wearing a mask. And we asked her, I said, how are things going? I mean, this is a big restaurant. I see less than a dozen people in here. She says, yeah, it's thin, but it's steady. So, we only allow X number of people in at one time, and people are pretty good about it. There's no mad rush. There haven't been apparently too many Karens, demanding that they sit down because more freedom. Because again, I guess it's a cultural thing, and that's why I wanted to stop you there. Is like, but then I forgot. I look at the. I still see the Johns Hopkins thing ever so often, and I see just the Eastern Seaboard is.
Yeah.
Dude, the Russian flag or the Soviet flag wasn't that red.
Yeah.
But anyways, where was I going with this?
No, that yes, I was painting an overly large brush without actually narrowing it properly as I was saying it. But I will roll that back a little bit, because rightly so. Yeah. Those of you that have been absolute tools about it in general in public, screw y'all.
Yeah, that on that I will agree with you wholeheartedly.
And I can say here that I'm living in a student quarter. Probably said before, but I mean, on the weekends the terraces are filled to overflowing. Still, no sign of worry. And even though the numbers have been over the past few weeks, climbing slowly. The more cases reported every day. The daily case number has been rising. So I really wonder what's going to happen in September.
Yeah, I think in a lot of cases, people are just.
Well, they don't. I really get the impression that people don't.
They're still not taking it seriously.
Yeah, that's it. But like I've said before, people who don't make value judgments for themselves, it's people like that. Reality is almost a concept. I mean, it's not. You can be looking directly at the facts, and they're all laid out for you if you were to think about it a bit.
Yeah.
But instead, people seem to be, following their feelings or whatever X guy on X channel they follow is saying about it, instead of considering it for themselves. And I mean,
Well,
it's
here
not
the
even
problem.
real until it happens to them.
Well, here the problem is, or at least, some. I mean, the thing is having different mayors and governors and all that making up their own guidelines and doing whatever the hell they want to. Um, schools up in Indianapolis are open again. Um, one of my friends that is from here but moved to Indianapolis, for a job. She and her husband both teach. And her classroom, she said that there's no space in there to spread out more than 3 feet apart. The kids are not required to wear masks. It's optional. She's going to be wearing a mask and a face shield, but she is scared shitless. And they've already told their faculty to go ahead and, assign their powers of attorneys and make sure that they have an up-to-date will and all that stuff. And she is freaking out. And they're not giving them the option to teach virtually. They're like, you will be in school, and it will be face-to-face, and it will be 5 days a week.
Yeah, I think at that point, when they're saying to fill out your power, when they're saying fill out your power of attorney, it's like, you know what? I'm going to go work somewhere else. Have a nice day.
Yeah. And Becky Friedman has, said that they're still doing another, virtual semester where she teaches in Washington. But that if she was forced to go back into a classroom right now, as much as she loves teaching and as huge a part of her identity as it is to be an educator, she would be rethinking her life choices. Yeah. I don't blame her.
Dallin, I have to say, that was far too Canadian.
What part?
It's not a power of 10 shows. Otherwise, I would have. I would have shown you the dark side of a hockey fan at that point.
Well, I know, but it's just the whole "have a nice day" thing is just that is far too Canadian, passive aggressive to the max.
I would not be a teacher in public school right now, not in this state, as long as they're not having kids wear masks and make sure that people are properly distanced. I mean, it's like they're cramming this down everybody's throats because open the schools, the economy, and it's like, yeah, you're gonna sacrifice all these kids and all their faculty and all the staff for what?
Now you see, I pulled something up here that when you're talking about the economy, I just want to let you know, I did call up a thing about the GDP in the U.S. and how it's been affected as a result of the lockdowns, the closures, the stopping of a lot of businesses. Now, I just want to put a couple of things in perspective here. So in 1958, there was a recession and the GDP had fallen 10%. 1980, the GDP had fallen 8%. And I can't remember what was going on back then. I was a little too interested in other things. 2008, we all remember this one.
Mm-hmm.
The housing crisis, when everybody was flipping out, losing their crap and everything. That was 8.4% drop in GDP. And that was felt, that one rocked people pretty hard back then.
Yeah. This is what, about 30%?
As of July 30th, 2020,
the
United States gross domestic product has dropped 32.9%.
Okay, so I was close. I was guessing 30.
Yeah, but that is the biggest drop in your country's history. The Great Depression wasn't even that bad.
Yeah.
So people look at that. And again, I go back to New York because that seems to be the one in the news quite a bit these days, especially, I got to admit, watching Governor Cuomo right now is high comedy at this point. 1/3, if not more, of the businesses in that city are not coming back.
Right.
500,000 people have left. They've boarded up, closed up, moved out. We're talking residences. A lot of people who had, houses out in the boonies, people who could afford to leave have left.
Yeah.
And they've left to the point that when the census comes around, they will not be considered part of New York City. They are actually, I think it was New York, or that area is actually going to end up losing 2 or 3 of their electoral college votes because the population has shifted so violently.
Just a question about all these businesses closing. What sector are they part of? The service industry or?
I'm not
Mostly.
sure. Yeah, mostly like restaurants or
Any group that isn't able to do it remotely.
yeah,
Okay.
you know,
So
and even, but even then, there was. I remember seeing an article on this. There was a lady who she had a shop, and she was in her shop with her coworker, and they were live streaming around their shop, showing off, what they had for sale, and they were taking orders online. And then they would message the people and say, okay, here it is, here's PayPal or here's my credit card, and they'll ship it out to you. There was nobody in the place. Like there was no chance of transmission of anything. Cops came in and shut them down because they said, and quote unquote, you can't be open. No, I don't care. Mayor's orders. De Blasio basically said, no, I don't care if you can do it remotely. If I say you can't be open, then you can't be open. It's just crazy. But it's the insanity behind a lot of it. So
yeah, if there's a way to do it remotely, then they should allow anything. I mean, people are going to have to adapt. Things have changed.
That's true. And, the people who can are, for the most part, even here, my sister is working from home. And even when their new office space is ready, which I think it already is, she's really not planning to go in unless it's absolutely necessary. And even then, only for a little bit of time, she'll have a mask. But, the paradigm is shifting where people who can work remotely are working remotely for the most part.
There's something that...
So they're getting ready to screw us up. I mean, at my work, I've been working remotely. But they're forcing us to go back next month. The masks are going to be optional. They're like, people have their own views and you do you, and we're not going to fight and argue about it. And I'm not okay with that.
No, and you shouldn't be.
And I think there's one more thing to consider is that with all these smaller businesses closing down, the population is going to become more and more dependent on a very few corporations. Basically, everyone behind the food chain, or the food delivery and all that. Yep. So there's that side of it. And if what you say is true, Dallin, that these places close down, they're never going to open again, we're going to be permanently dependent on Joe Corporate or whatever.
Well, now again, I'm speaking more in the context of the large cities like New York City and places like that.
Yeah.
Smaller towns that that still have their markets or whatever. I don't think they'll be affected. In places that are there.
If they have a local economy, that's fucking great.
And that's the thing. I think a lot of these giant urban economies that we've been seeing, they're as good as gone. Like it's going to be, if you live in New York City, everything's going to be Amazon, Walmart, and other big chains because no one else is allowed to do anything.
And the fashion industry in New York, Barney's, Neiman's, all
gone. Although, I mean, these days, if you want something high fashion, you can just go online and order it direct from frickin' Paris these days.
Yeah, but a lot of people aren't going to have, money to
be
buying anything anyway because they're not working.
Yeah, but the thing is, Bridget, if you're doing high fashion, you can afford it. Like, I mean, if you look at anything that's sort of high fashionable,
But I mean, in general, we're about to have another, crisis with people being evicted. Then
Mhm.
you've got some of these people that have recovered from COVID, but they're, quote unquote long haulers where they're still too ill to work,
Yeah.
4 or 5 months out.
Or longer.
Or longer. We're going to have more people. I mean, the more people that get infected, the more people that get this, the more people we're going to have that are permanently disabled. And if they're too disabled to work, yeah, they're going to have to be supported somehow, or else they're just going to starve to death.
There's something that we kind of touched on earlier that I've been looking up in the background to get a little bit more information about this. I remember reminding you all, I was born in 1969, so yeah, I'm just cresting over 39 years old now. Back in the 70s, there were a number of PSAs that I can remember back in the day. And they were, some were far more memorable than others. Along the lines of the most memorable was, of course, Schoolhouse Rock.
Mm-hmm.
Now, admittedly, math rock, grammar rock, I mean, memorable stuff. And for those of you that do remember it, yes, you can get compilation DVDs, and yes, it's worth it. I bought it for myself before Tiny Turtle came along because I wanted it. So whatever. Mm-hmm. Anyway.
Yeah.
Now, admittedly, the America Rock, much more centric over here because, well, it's supposed to be a way of kind of getting you started with some ideas of what history in the U.S. was. Admittedly, there's not much you can really do with a, 2.5, 3 minute chomp, but, it was something at least. But there were other ones that happened too. And the one that I was specifically looking up for was a character called Timer. Not the most attractive character in the world. He was basically just a big doughy ball with a face on him and a top hat and a bow tie. But there were a couple of things that specifically were, at the time, during Saturday morning cartoons on ABC TV, specifically for kids, in between, watching cartoons and swallowing down your sugar-coated Choco Bomb cereal, because, that's what you do. But there were a couple of them that were very, very memorable to me. And one of them was very specifically a hanker for a hunk of cheese.
I remember that
Oh
one.
my God.
Now,
I don't know why, but that one has actually been playing in my head all frickin' week. I don't know why.
The 2,000-year-old mouse?
Just when you were talking about, little cartoon bits or whatever, this was one that reminded me of this one. This was something I actually used to see on, on Saturday morning cartoons.
Okay.
Like they'd run the cartoon, and instead of a commercial break at the end of the show, they would run, I'm Max, the 2,000-year-old mouse, and I was there, and it was history bits. Huh. Like things like Charlemagne, first king of the world, was actually how they labeled him.
Okay. There was apparently there was a TV show, I think in the UK, that Fact Fiend had done a thing on YouTube where it was more historically accurate for kids, more historically accurate than history books in the US.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, I have to remember to hold on a second. Fact Fiend history more accurate.
But, kind of rolling around to getting back to the education thing, something that reminded me.
Oh, yeah. You do that and I'll explain why I pulled this out of my ass.
Yeah. Back at my old job, not the one that I just had recently, but the one before that where I was there for 12 years. It was a family-run business, or at least there was a lot of family members in it. And because I was the IT guy, I was everybody's IT guy and the IT guy of all their extended families. And one day, a computer wound up on my desk from the controller, and it was her son's, who needed it set up for, needed to make sure that it was working properly, that Windows was properly up to date, and it was properly scanned for viruses and the typical, I'll use it again, the 21-point inspection for an IT guy. And I was talking to her about it, and I said, okay, yeah, it's all done. Everything seems to be working good here. She says, okay, does it have a good web browser on? I'm like, yeah. How are the speakers? The speakers are fine. Where are you going with this? And it turns out that her son was attending virtual school. Yeah.
Okay.
It turns out that, just given his, there were circumstances that led up to him being enrolled into the local city's school division's virtual school. And I think it had to do with where they lived and this, getting into town, because I think they lived out in the sticks. Actually getting into town to go to school was tough. Either they couldn't drive or, the buses didn't go out there. I don't know. But now think back, this was early 2000s that this virtual school was developed. And I think it's still going on today. I'd have to do a little more digging on it. So if we've had this, if we've had this concept for, 20 some odd years already, a structure like that in today's situation, I mean, this is their time to shine. You look at these online universities that they've been going on for years and years and years, or, online courses that you can take this and that. And, you can get your degree from home. I mean, they've been rapping about this for decades. It used to be a correspondence school. Remember those days?
Yep.
Get your degree from home. Well, but now you can actually just live stream. You can live stream a professor. I mean, hell, if any of you guys are on LinkedIn, I mean, I'm on LinkedIn, and they have a thing called LinkedIn Learning.
Yep.
Which is, well, what they did is they actually bought lynda.com, which was an e-learning site. You pay your subscription and you could do whatever courses you want. LinkedIn merged with that and became LinkedIn Learning. So now you can, I sat through a Java course last week. It was about 10 hours. Now, can I write the ultimate Java program? No. Do I know enough that if someone throws me a line of Java code, I can probably tell you what it does? Yes. Java, C#, acoustic room treatments, recording, photography, Photoshop, all of that. And I pay a yearly fee. I can learn any of it. So learning online, e-learning, it's there. We've got it. But I think the biggest problem we have right now is the lack of commitment, or the lack of proof of commitment.
Possibly so.
And that's the thing that kind of gets me about, the schools opening back up. I mean, we're having the same thing here. Actually, I was looking for some stuff about Alberta schools, and yeah, we're opening back up, and there are guidelines being put in place that have been proposed by our province's version of Fauci.
Mm-hmm.
What's her name?
Doctor.
Give me a second here. Yes, her name is. Oh, come on. Dr. Dina Hinshaw. She has been doing almost daily briefs of. Oh yeah, like honestly, every time I would turn on the TV in the morning for the news, she's there, doing her thing.
Good.
Telling this is what it is. These are the new numbers. This is, and this is what our government is currently doing to try to fight this. So trying to be as transparent and everything as possible. You know, again, it's a Canadian thing. You know, we're trying to actually get through this, but you know, she also outlined how are we going to do this. I haven't read too much into the details, but yeah, they are looking to open up. Students between grades 4 and 12 will be required to wear masks in common areas when they return to school in the fall. And her re-entry recommendations have been supported by the government. So now a lot of people don't like the current government because
Reasons.
Well,
Yeah.
find me one government that everybody likes 100% without the threat of secret police or other such things. And, you know, I'll say, well, you know, I'll admit then that, okay, yeah, there actually are places that are like that, but not up here.
Last time we had that was George Washington, so that's that gives you an idea as to stuff.
There you go.
Yeah. Now, holding on to that idea for a couple of seconds, because this is, I think this will finally kind of pull together on this. What I was talking about with the old PSAs from the 70s, with timer in particular, like I was saying, there were a couple of them that were, amongst other things, like I was saying, a hanker for a hunk of cheese was basically an idea of, look, you can have something to eat. You know, you shouldn't go hungry. There's always something that you can have. There's another one that was you are what you eat, was to basically say, look, you know, you eat crap food, you're not going to be doing real good for your body. So, you know, there's always something. Okay, makes sense. Did you find the one I was looking for?
I did.
You pain in the ass. All right, thank you. And amongst other things, like I said, there was another one of there for take care of yourself, is what it was called. It was about specifically taking care of your teeth, brushing your teeth, and taking care of yourself. There were PSAs that were out there at the time to try to involve kids to at least get them to know about stuff, so that maybe you can influence some of them to get this stuff to work. The last one that I remember, as in like going up into the 80s, the last one I can remember was one that was done for the littles. And it was specifically to tell kids, you know, remember to make sure that your parents vote. Now, that's a little more esoteric, but okay. You know, they did the same things with Trix cereal. Whenever the elections came up, kids would get involved to, you know, vote in. Should the Trix rabbit get a bowl of Trix or not? Eventually, finally, they did. So, you know, good on you, kids. But we are probably going to be in need of another set of these.
But not the Hamburger burglar, because fuck that guy.
Yeah, well, there is that.
You don't really see any PSAs for the public good anymore.
And, you know, funny enough, I actually did go looking up the ad council here in the U.S. They do still do stuff. I went looking it up. Things, for instance, Alzheimer's awareness, autism awareness, bullying prevention, buzzed driver prevention, child car safety. There is a section specifically for coronavirus response. Now, what all they've got in there, I don't know. But the fact that the ad council is still out there doing their thing, cool. I don't think that all right, I'm a bad choice in this one because I really don't watch TV. Truthfully, whenever I turn on my big TV, it's usually to put on YouTube playing through it because it's a bigger screen. Whatever. We're going to need, again, another investment in getting the kids on board with keeping themselves safe. we need to get them involved so that they're taking care of themselves.
Yeah.
Because
But
sure as shit, as somebody else had pointed out once before, if you think these grade school kids aren't going to leave with a Spider-Man mask and come back with a Stormtrooper mask because they traded, you're out of your goddamn mind.
Oh boy, that's that's a frightening thought, and it makes me almost glad that I don't have kids.
Now, frightening, tell me straight up, frightening because of how plausible it is.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
No,
That's
kids
what I'm
do
saying.
trade things like that. They think it's cool. They don't
Yeah.
consider the consequences of, hey, you got somebody else's germs on here, and they may, they don't.
Mm-hmm.
We need to have a consistent policy drive.
Yeah, but pardon my being a Debbie Downer here.
That's part of the
Because-
job on this show, man. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's
We all
funny,
do that at some point or other. I mean, just look
it's
at Joey.
funny. I gave you the tag name DJ Cynic, yet there are days I feel that I'm the more cynical one, and I'm about to show that.
Well, that's just because you're a dick.
I know, very much so.
Wait, that's my job. Never mind. Go on.
Well, I mean, hey, we've all rule zeroed people once before.
Once.
I'm being nice. Anyways, think about these entitled people, or think about the religious people. I'm talking the hyper religious grassroots, on a scale of 1 to Fred Phelps, they're at about Billy Graham. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, you know the kind of people I'm talking about, because we've met these people. The people who would say that Pokemon was Satan, or that Saturday morning cartoons were the devil's work, or other people who would just say that the TV is wrong because my governor tells me this, or Karen from across the street tells me this. I really feel sorry for anybody named Karen. As a matter of fact, I know somebody named Karen who's she is actually suffering because of that whole thing. They're actually questioning her credibility because of her name. And it's just like, you shallow-minded pissants. Because she's actually one of the most rational people I've ever met. Anyways, these PSAs are going to come on, and the kids will probably say, well, I need to start brushing my teeth or something. And the parents are going to say, where did you learn that? Where did you get that information? Well, I was on the TV. No more TV. Because Andrew Wakefield said this, or something. You know what I mean? I don't think it would be great to have it again. But I think these current generations are just not going to be able to, or they're going to just refuse it. And then there's going to be phone calls and letter writing campaigns saying, this is offensive. And as soon as you say that, well, boom, then it's where that goes.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think that is where we're at right now, is that if the TV or if anything tells a kid that something is good for them, or that can be construed as telling them what to do, somebody is going to fly into a complete and utter rage about it and do everything in their power to get it shut down, because that is the culture we live in today.
Yep.
And it's a sad, I think it's a hard truth. And it's I don't know what we can do about that. I don't know how you can get that message across in such a way that people will actually listen to it. Or that a kid will listen to it, but then their parents or their whoever they look up to will say, no, that's bad.
Oh, God.
Well, and I feel really horrible for the kids. I mean, this is going to be one really screwed up generation.
Joey?
Yes, sir.
I'm about to earn my nickname.
Oh dear.
What happened? What happened with gun control after those kids were shot up in the Northeast?
Oh, government's trying to take away your guns. You know, this is just how the Holocaust started.
Yeah.
What was done about it?
Very little.
What happened with gun control when the army person went ahead, went a little bit nuts, grabbed himself a gun and shot people on post?
Honestly, I don't think there was a whole lot of reflection from that on the civil side of things, because everybody looked at it from the window of, oh, that's just military.
What happened when it was somebody that was a downer, a trench coat wearing high school kid that had been pushed around and his friend shot up this high school?
It's all them violent video games and movies, and
Arm the
that's the problem.
teachers. We need to arm the teachers.
So with this history that we've got, when we have 10-year-old kids dropping dead in gym class.
I mean, I'm going to put it very simply from my perspective is we have a habit in this country of pointing fingers very readily, but never at the right fucking thing.
Yes.
And, current administration, not even mentioned. This is a problem.
That's what the current administration is doing, is telling people telling them where to point their fingers.
We know that, but the thing is that this problem has been endemic of our society for
decades.
It
is fair to say decades.
Yeah. And it's administration independent. Every administration has had to deal with this crap.
Yeah. Joseph?
I'd say even centuries. I mean, just look at the Bible. I mean, the whole thing, the Old Testament is about, look at those fucking, when there was a schism between the Judaism and the, who did they break from? They were formerly, anyways, yeah. The Bible's all about pointing fingers, even.
Let's call a spade here, shall we? Every holy book is always about there is a boogeyman, and it is everybody else.
What's about unithought more than anything?
I'm sorry?
Unithought, thought control.
Unithought, yeah.
You're not wrong.
Actually, God or all this shit has very little to do with it, because every religious book in existence is a set of quote unquote guidelines, behavioral guidelines to follow, because we said so.
Yeah. And again, it's societally, for us here in the U.S., it has grown into, and we've talked about this too damn many times before, it's grown into everything's fine. Oh my God, boogeyman, let's go ahead and do everything because now we need to do everything's fine. Boogeyman!
But there are two words in the English language that unfortunately nowadays have been so stigmatized that to be against them is to be against the current boogeyman.
Yeah, I thought you were going to be going with fuck off, but that's French.
No.
That's German. No, it's, whatever. I don't care. That's my one for the night.
Personal responsibility. Now,
Yes.
just follow me on this one, okay? And I can already see everybody rolling their eyes at where I'm going with this.
No, you know me better
I'm
than
not.
Hold on. It is a conservative value, small c conservative. It is, you take care of yourself. You are responsible for you. If you want to get ahead in the world, you're the one that has to make the steps. No one can do it for you. That's that's the deal. Personal responsibility. Like you want a clean house. You can't afford a maid. Well, then you've got to sweep the house. You want to clean your room, or you want a clean room. You don't have a parent. Your parents can't do it for you. Then you have to do it. You want clean dishes? Same thing. You want that car? Okay, what's it going to take for you to get that car? It's going to take you to earn some money. Is your current job able to let you do that? No. Okay, maybe you have to either get a different job or maybe do a little entrepreneur stuff on the side. But the fact is, it comes down to you advancing yourself. But a lot of people look at that and go, oh, that's a Republican thing, because that means that that's grassroots, that's redneck. Why should I have to dirty my hands when I can get this illegal immigrant to do it for me? I've actually heard quotes to that effect, by the way. But the thing is, personal responsibility, that's the big one, and that shouldn't be politicized at all. And and it actually does roll into this. You want to not catch this thing? Then you do what you can to make sure that you don't. You social distance. You put that damn mask on. You limit yourself as much as possible. And if you actually do have to engage somewhere, then you do so in such a way that is as safe as possible for you. The thing is, you have to take responsibility for yourself. And if you do that, you'd be amazed. Like if everybody took responsibility for themselves, you'd be amazed at the kind of community you'd have.
We used to have
you would
that.
actually, yeah, you would actually like your neighbor. And the funny thing is, and here's where, a year from now, the comments are going to label me an alt-right fascist by saying this, because I just know people. I read 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson. That was his 12 Rules for Life, a guide to avoid chaos, or something like that. I read it. And that's exactly what it talked about, was be responsible for yourself. Make sure that your life is in order before you start yelling and screaming at other people to get their lives in order. It's like I was saying last night about, the person who criticizes the splinter in one's eye when they've got a freaking railway tie in their own.
But this is tying into my litany about
exactly. Exactly.
But because for me, there's a big dividing line in human behavior between people who have transitioned into making value judgments for themselves and those who spend their entire lives, the entitled people you're talking about, depending on others to make all their decisions for them. They don't judge the value of anything for themselves. If you don't understand the reason why you do what you do, well, life is just a big set of rules that you're following, basically, like hoops to jump through.
Yeah.
And if somebody presents new hoops to you to jump through that you're not used to, well, the almost automatic reply is going to be, the almost automatic reaction is going to be rejection.
Yeah.
And rationalization behind that. Why I shouldn't do this new thing. But you find that people like this, if their dear leader or whoever they're following for their life decisions, or whoever they're depending on for their life decisions, they say jump through X hoop, they're going to do it without any protest.
And this is where I have I feel as though, like, when everybody talks about the First Amendment in the U.S., you know, freedom of speech, which is surprisingly unique in compared to many other countries, if you were to read the actual letter of the law or whatever, people have the freedom to speak. The Congress, the government cannot infringe on your right to speak, to have religion or not religion, to peaceably assemble, to petition for redress of grievances, etc., etc. But the trouble with that now, and I only say the trouble with it is, it's not that it's a bad thing, because I mean, yeah, you should be able to speak, you should be able to say what you want, and it's up to the listener as to whether or not they want to accept it as, for lack of a better term, gospel, or that you're just talking out of your ass. I got into a conversation with somebody about this once, and I said, you know, it's not the fact that people say this, because anybody who thinks critically would be able to say that, yeah, that's bullshit. But, you know, going back to Joseph's example all the time is, yeah, it's not the person who's speaking it. It's the thousands of sheep that are going to listen to that and accept that as gospel, many of whom have the ability to influence businesses or influence certain communities just because of who they are. Like, imagine if a bunch of rabid anti-vaxxers, and I'm talking people who like are as religiously against it as possible. Imagine if a huge influx of them got into your government and started started tearing apart, like saying that, okay, vaccinations are now illegal because, you know, they'll introduce it, they'll call it the Wakefield Law or some crap like that. This is why, you know, this is why critical thought is so important. Like, you know, Joseph, it took me a long time to really get around to like understanding what you were talking about, but I have been thinking about this a lot. And I think for all the years we've been doing this, we've both been saying exactly the same thing, just different ways.
Well, yeah. Yeah, well, you know, yeah.
I mean, it's my fault for not catching on to it sooner.
No, but I spend a lot of time, let's just say, following rabbit holes, and I mean, you'll find the same common cause behind, you know, like before it used to be religion that ruled everything, even the economy. But now you've got religion and economies, religion and corporations depending on the same thing. This people mentality, where, you know, like with all the advertising going on in every app you use, they know full well that if they can get to your brain, they can program you. If you're stuck in this survive by imitation state that most of the world seems to be in. I know that sounds condescending as hell, but I mean, there's no other explanation for what's going on.
Yeah, and for those of you in the United States who think that such a thing can't happen, might I remind you of 1973, the beginning of an infiltration of the United States government by an organization. Operation Snow White, a criminal conspiracy during the 70s to purge unfavorable records about a specific group, infiltration and theft from 136 government agencies, foreign embassies, and consulates, as well as private organizations critical of Scientology. Yes, funny enough, I've actually got the webpage right in front of me too. Same one, thank you. So for anybody that thinks that this can't happen here, I got bad news for you. The government's case, suit, court documents were dated as of 1979. So, yeah. The idea that some unscrupulous group can infiltrate and change the public record is a thing that not only can happen, but has happened. And for anybody that wonders about the Church of Scientology, don't talk too loud about them. They are very, what's the word that I'm looking for? Suit happy.
It is actually, I think I found it too. It is actually, it's part of their mandate. Their part of their doctrine is to go after any dissent to the fullest extent that they can.
Yeah.
Which means if they want to litigate the hell out of you, they're actually obligated to do it under the doctrine of Scientology.
Yeah.
That was it was something that Sean Kennedy did. I think I actually have that MP3 file now. They finally released it. It was an old radio show he did back at the Rant Radio days. And he did like a front to back origin story of Scientology. And I remember listening to that. It's like, who the hell would buy into John Travolta, Tom Cruise? Oh my God. You know?
Yeah. Funny enough, there's a piece about this that I'm kind of getting over here. From the Wikipedia article, around this time, which was 73-ish, I think is what it was, L. Ron Hubbard himself wrote Guardian Order 732. Wasn't there a Star Wars reference to Order something? I don't remember what it was.
Order 66.
Ah.
Yeah,
Okay.
ask that on a show full of nerds.
Yeah, well, after the prequel first movie and a couple of minutes into the second one, I kind of... Anyway. I'm sorry. I'm really annoyed to think that there are groups that will intentionally work against the public good. There are people like Andrew Wakefield. There are groups like Scientologists. There are the COVID-19 blowjob pastors. Sorry, I got no other way of wording it.
Well, once again, it's really hard to do, but we really have to differentiate whether these people are between the people who are acting by design, whether their actions are calculated, or whether they're just like drinking the Kool-Aid or spreading the Kool-Aid.
You know, considering that we're looking at children basically dropping dead in the foreseeable future because these people just want to be absolute tools and not protect each other or their kids or the rest of their family. You know, I'm gonna borrow a line from the movie The Fugitive. I don't care. The people that they're hurting, the people that will be harmed the most, are these kids that are going to have to grow up with this stuff. They're going to have to grow up with a world where, I'm sorry, our generations should have been the ones who know enough to just say, okay, what do we need to do? Everybody needs to stay home. Okay, what do we need to make that happen? Well, we need this, we need this, we need this, we need this. Great. How much is this going to cost us? Well, it's going to cost us less than traveling halfway around the world to oversee another government. Sounds like a bargain. Let's do it.
Yeah.
I'm
But of
sorry.
course-
Am I still salty about the whole, how much we spend on the military over here? Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to know why? Because I can't speak Latin. The last time that another organization did something like this, political organization, they spoke Latin, for fuck's sake. It's twice. That's two.
No, simple. I saw an article recently that they're looking to pull troops out of Germany, and the reason they're pulling them out of Germany is because apparently Germany isn't spending enough of their GDP to be considered part of NATO. And this is the funny part. So Donny Boy said, we're not going to hold your hand anymore. You either got to buck up or, deal with it. And no, my first impression was great. You're pulling some of that, you're pulling that military back into the US, and you're going to stop spending all that extra money. No, you're moving them to other countries.
Yeah. He's a tool.
It's not a pullout, it's a relocation. And it's like, so what are you doing? I thought I heard something, they're supposed to be pulling troops out of a lot of these troubled places that have had wars going on since frickin' Clinton was in office.
Oh, hell, before that.
Yeah. And I'd love to see that. And honestly, if there was a concerted effort to get troops out of those places within the next, 2 to 4 years, I would pimp slap any member of government. I don't care what side of the fence you're on that says, no, I'm opposed to that because he said it's okay. No. You should no longer be in office if you are supporting the continued occupational force in a country in which you have no business being anymore. But that's just me.
I was going to add on to that. Does that include down the street from some people here in the States? But that might be just a little bit salty on that one.
You know what? You guys...
Yeah, I know.
I've said before it. I mean, I'm not a religious person, but I'm sorry, but there are places down... Y'all need Jesus in some of those places. I mean...
No, I know where you're going on that.
Yeah. When a napalm strafing run would actually be considered urban improvement in some of those places, you got problems, and you're a long way from getting them sorted out.
We got a lot of shit going on with a whole different. Yeah, I can talk. I did not have enough coffee tonight. I know. Leave me alone.
You got a lot of shit going on, and unfortunately, there are people that want it fixed, but there are also people that want it to keep going because it benefits them in both the short and long term.
Yeah. I just double checked the timer to try to figure out how long we're actually streaming at this point, and we did hit the 2-hour point. I just finally realized because of the time that I had to fix stuff. I forgot what time we started, but I found a timer. OBS got a timer. So, yeah, Dylan, if there's like a 5-second something that you just want to drop real quick to close with for yourself.
You can open the schools. Be very careful. That's it.
That's good enough for me. Joey, you've had about the least screen time tonight. Any last item that you want to say after you turn off that mute button?
Give me a moment. I want to try to figure out how to word it properly.
Okay. You want me to have Bridget take a couple of
Yeah,
seconds?
yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Bridget? Anything you want to spew before we get done?
This is all just such a mess, and I understand, why we need to get kids back in school, for their own social well-being and learn how to interact with the people, but I don't see how we're going to make that happen safely. It hasn't been well thought out, and with the piecemeal patchwork kind of thing we have going on all over the country and no consistent guidelines, it's just going to be a big cluster. You know what? I'm saving my F-bomb, okay?
It's fine. I'm actually giving serious consideration to dropping another one. But anyway. Joseph, any last item that you'd like to drop in here?
Well, only if New Zealand can do it, then, so can the US. So it's all about just changing habits. And I don't understand, changing habits doesn't cost much or anything, but in the long run, if the cost is survival, people, were they rational minded, they'd be willing to accept change. But it's really worrisome that when people absolutely won't change their habits, it's really disconcerting.
True that.
I heard that sigh.
Yep. Go for it, man. Here's your chance.
Look, we've addressed this before for a number of situations that have happened. And yeah, it's scary. That's fairly normal throughout the grand scheme of things. The world is a scary place. And I can't promise this is going to happen tomorrow, or 6 months from now, or 6 years from now, but eventually this will pass. And I mean, eventually so will we, but that's cosmic time scale there, so I don't really think any of us are really worrying about that. My point being is that just stay rational. Continue to care for one another. We say this often enough on this show. It's just, it can't be said enough. Look out for yourselves, look out for each other, and just try to keep a level head on things. The moment you let panic set in is the moment that everything goes out the window. And that's all I have to say about that.
Can I add just one thing?
Sure.
If I could add anything to that, it'd be learn to look out for yourself, and through that, you're going to learn to look out for others.
Something to be said for that. I don't like the way that my brain thinks about stuff sometimes. I've said it before. I'm going to keep saying it because it's true. I think about things sideways a lot of times. I end up having ideas that come out of my head I'm not thinking about anything in particular, and suddenly I've got connections of various different things. Yeah, inside of my head there's a giant cork board with red thread connecting a whole bunch of different things, and every once in a while something pops up and goes, "Tension, hi." in the middle of tonight, suddenly to suddenly consider that in
Excuse me.
in a couple of years that there's going to be yearbooks that specifically have a section for the ones that didn't make it. I had one girl in the band in high school died of mono. Just complete fluke. I cannot imagine 5% of students just not making it through a year. 5% per year, conceivably. And that means administration, teachers, bus drivers. It's our job to be the stewards of these new lives. I've said it before, and I'm going to keep saying it. We don't own these lives with us. We are supposed to be the stewards. And if you don't understand what the difference is, you shouldn't have kids. You shouldn't be in charge of protecting them. You need to have somebody explain it to you. And it sure as hell ain't gonna be me. Because I will smack you with a Buick. And if you think I'm lying, try me. I can't teach you what it means to actually care about people. The idea that some people just can't be taught that is just unfathomable to me. But I know they're out there. We're supposed to be taking care of them. Do that. I got way too much that's in my head right now, and it's just going to be better that I just get on out of here because I've got too damn much that's just underneath the surface right now. Thank you all for being with us tonight, as always. I hope that you had yourself an interesting time, found something worthwhile to think about from all of our perspectives. Joseph, thank you. It's good to have you back. You're holding together well enough out there, I'm assuming, with work and everything, yeah? Joseph, you're muted. Oh, I didn't see that he had to step away for a couple moments. Well, that's what I get. See, I've got two monitors, and unfortunately the boom arm with my microphone is in the way of me seeing the second monitor, which is where he's got a thing over there that said, yeah, I'll be right back. That's what I get. Joseph, then, thank you. Glad you were able to make it. You take care of yourself as best you can, eh? And I'm sure that you've got a button that you got to press again.
Well, I was actually confused because I was like, are you speaking to me or to Joseph? Seeing as we do technically have a agreement that, he's Joseph, I'm Joe. Did I lose you there?
You know what?
He gotcha.
I do what I can. And hey, if I didn't give you shit, who would?
You know what? I'm just gonna... Hooked on dancing. Hooked on Instrumentals.
Oh dear.
Hooked
Here
on
we go.
Classics. 1, 2, and 3. And the box set, too. You want me to order that for you? Somebody let me know if K-12 still exists anymore.
Oh,
I have no
jeez.
idea.
Thank you for being with us tonight, Joey. Appreciate it.
Is what I do.
Sometimes, not always.
True. But I have fewer things in the way now.
That's true. There you go. Oh,
For better or for worse.
make you feel better about everything. There you go. Jive Bunny. There you go. See?
Thanks.
Jive Bunny. Told you I got CDs. A lot of CDs. Anyway. Really?
Really?
Are we still live?
Yes.
Yes.
So I get to now say goodnight to you because you had to step away, and I did not realize it because I didn't get to see it over there. So thank you very kindly. I hope that you are doing okay with everything. You work-wise and everything's still going okay for you, yeah?
Yeah, more than enough work. Plus my other shit. Yeah. Business as usual here. I hope you all, well, are well and stay safe.
You too, man. You take care. Bridget, I'm, of course, hoping that you take good care of yourself because reasons, and you keep me posted, huh?
Yeah, I will.
I'm glad you made it through the whole show, too.
Yeah, me too. I'm probably going to crash in like 45 seconds, though.
Yeah, you and me both.
Well, if anybody wants to find me on Facebook, you can send a friend request to Bridget Fitch, or find me at my blog at bridgetfitch2112.wordpress.com.
Thank you.
And fuck Mike Pence. Fuck 45. And William Barr. And all the COVIDiots who refuse to wear masks. Fuck them too. It didn't have to be this way.
I was figuring we could go for the entire GOP right about now, but
Well,
that's good enough right there.
Okay, everybody in the GOP. Well, Mitt Romney has tried to be decent, so I will cut him some slack. He's tried to do the right thing, but fuck everybody else.
Wow. When Mitt Romney is your beacon.
That's
Wow. Just, yeah.
I will give credit where credit is due, and he has tried.
Okay. No, that's it's good to know that, some people are actually they're more human than they are their politics.
He still has principles.
Which really we should all be, but,
Yep, but he still has principles, and he tries to abide by them, and I give him credit for that.
Yeah.
As opposed to
I don't agree with his religious beliefs, but you know what? As long as you keep that out of the equation when you're doing stuff for everybody else, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, he's tried to do what he thinks is right, and has not caved and sucked up to the orange one.
see now. If only we had Ted Cruz learn a little something from his father, and you know what? That's probably as close as I need to go on that one. We'll just save that for later. You're welcome, Dallin. Thank you. I almost want to say thank you after that last length that you put in here.
Look, if I didn't keep, like Joey said it, if we didn't keep you on your toes, who would?
It's fine.
Unless you're planning to install a ceiling fan at some point, then you'd be on your toes for a little bit.
We've discussed this. I'm not going up on a god. I'm not going up on a no.
Yeah, I might tomorrow. I just went and checked to see if another one of those models is available, and it is. So we'll see. Anyways, yeah, and also tomorrow I should have the audio version of this show up at holycrapthevlogcast.com. For my own streams of consciousness, when I'm conscious, you can catch that over at inthewind.yo5.ca. And I missed this week. I blame the weather, as in too hot to think. But now that I've got some better air moving devices installed, I'll be able to get back to my other show, The Kick in the Cast, over at podchaser.com/kickinthecast.
Thank you, man.
So, yep.
Yeah, all the information you need is over at holycrapthevlogcast.com. If you'd like to leave a voicemail message, the phone number there, of course, is always 859-HCTV 554 859-428-8554. Don't forget, I will be back on YouTube again Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, for Holy Crap the Phonecast. And you can join me for that. Interrupt me in the middle of whatever it is that I'm going to try to talk about. It's a lot harder to talk for an hour straight without having a break. I finally appreciate properly. Thank you very much. So, we will talk to you guys again come next week. And please be safe. So, as always, until the next time we get together, everyone, I wish you all the peace I no longer have. I wish you the strength that I've learned. I wish you well. And for my lady, who this week should have been 50 along with me. Matane Fujin. I love you. I miss you. Dream of me. Till the next time we get together, everyone, as always, good night.